What's up, YouTube? Fair warning, this is going to be more of a therapy session video, which I don't really care for therapy or therapy sessions or anything like that. I would never get a therapist in real life, but yeah, that's a warning. So, click off now if you don't really care for any of that crap. I don't even know if I'm going to post this. I don't even know if I am. I don't know what I'm going to title this. I don't know where to start. There's just a lot I want to talk about, and I'm just going to talk about it, bro, because I'm feeling like it. But yeah, real quick, before we even get into anything, this is not to make people feel bad for me. I'm not trying to play the victim here. Nothing like that, okay? I really do just want to talk about actual thoughts and feelings I have, I guess. And if you know me in real life or something, or you're one of my friends and you're watching this, just, don't pay too close attention to it, I guess. I'm not really even going to scrape the surface here. But yeah, I don't even really know where to begin. I feel like since a young age, I've always had a sense of hyper self-awareness, and it made me question from a young age, bro. I can't even say, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. I'm like questioning the meaning of life, and it's like weird. I feel like most people at that age wouldn't even cross their mind ever. But I've never really been interested in a lot of the things that some people are interested in, and I know it's easy to say that. Obviously, it's not 100% true. I'm not saying like I hate video games, and obviously I like games and Pokemon cards and all like the normal stuff. But when it comes to things that I feel like most people enjoy, and even today, and I know there's other people like this as well, I don't fuck with watching sports really. It's just so boring to me. And I know there's people like that too, but I feel like some people get so, I don't know, bro, ingrained. Like they get so into the sports, and it's like they're naming the players and stuff. I'm not hating on them or anything, but it's just like kind of weird to me. Like in the grand scheme of things, besides a name or there's really no affiliation between you sitting down on a couch watching somebody be athletic, and there's like no real affiliation there besides, I guess, the jersey. You guys can both wear the same looking jersey, and they're repping your state or whatever. I live in the States. But yeah, I don't even know really where I was going with that. But I don't know, dude. I guess a lot of my thought process has to do with the fact that I'm pretty black-pilled about the world. And if you don't know what that means, it's like a doomer mindset, I guess. I don't know. Like the whole world is, I wouldn't say a stage, but things are kind of fucked. And I have a real, not even politically, I just, I actually care about what's going on around the world. And I'm not trying to sound like Jada Smith, but seriously, I feel like if there's anything that truly matters, because I was questioning the meaning of life. I feel like if there's anything truly that mattered, it would be, at least what is happening around the world. Because I don't want to be ignorant to everything and just, like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard for me to go eat fast food and be happy with my life and watch a movie or some series I like when I know there are people that are being tortured and dying and kids getting bombed and shit by the most advanced military in the world. And to me, it just feels kind of fucked up how there can be two completely different lives that are being lived by the same species. And it's just kind of weird to think about it like that, I guess. But then it's like everybody wants to give their 2 cents about, how they view the world or some shit, which is, it's fair, you can. But I feel like a lot of people don't do any research before. They seriously don't even know anything or what they're talking about, but they still feel the need to correct you and jump on your ass and try and tell you what's right and what's wrong. And it's like, dude, do you even know anything like that's going on? And this isn't to say that I know everything. I know I'm not a genius, but just looking at some of the things you see online, and I wouldn't even say online, just the internet as a whole, because I mean, if it wasn't the internet, it'd be some newspaper or some magazine. So, it's how we get our news. But whenever you start looking past, the mainstream news, and you just kind of do your own little research on the side, like there's a lot of, like, think about North Korea, for example, one that everybody pretty much knows about. Their lives are so different than ours, and it's like you could be executed for like the smallest thing there. And not only that, it's generational punishment. If you do something, if you try to escape and you get caught, they're gonna punish your fucking grandkids too by, putting them in a fucking slave camp. And it's just crazy. And then, if you talk bad about the regime or something, they might fucking test a missile on you just to see if their missiles are good. They're gonna blow you up with it. It's literally crazy, bro. And it's like, I feel like a lot of Americans, especially Americans, but probably people all around the world, are just so indifferent to the other people suffering. It just is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, I don't want to talk about all that shit for the whole time. We're already 5 minutes in. But yeah, back to being young. Not that I got really super into the world and geopolitics or whatever you want to call it, history, when I was young, because I really didn't. It's all been kind of the recent few years. But when I was young, I was super void of meaning, and I didn't feel like there was any real purpose to life. When you zoom out, we're all just on a rock in space, just floating through time. And then when also you get into science and you get into the actual definitions of thing, it's like time is not even a real thing. And I'm probably sound like fucking schizophrenic or something right now, but genuinely, I mean, a lot of people say that are, you know, scientists. It's like a real concept, is that time is not even really a thing. It's just a word we made up to describe how we perceive things. We're moving in a straight timeline, I guess. And even thinking about that, it's like, well, what even are we? We're just a bunch of atoms put together to be a human. And it's like, if you can think about it like this, okay? If somebody can do a brain surgery on you, which is real, okay, and they do something in your brain and it changes the way you perceive things or the world, or changes the way you act or your personality, it's like, do you even have a soul, or are you just biology at that point? And that's really kind of scary to think about, probably for a lot of people. But I don't know, I feel like I'd like to think I came up with the solution, I guess, to the question is there a meaning to life? And honestly, there's really not. The meaning is what you make of it. It's what you give it. And it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you decide you want to be an astronaut one day, I guess the meaning of your life is to be an astronaut, and you just do whatever you want to become an astronaut, I guess. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, honestly, to make the most of life, you just got to enjoy the journey, because all life is a journey. And in the very end, the final destination is just death. Everyone's gonna die. The same, you know, everyone has to face the same sad ending. It doesn't have to be sad, but everyone's got to face the same ending. You're gonna die, okay? And it's best probably not to get too caught up thinking about it, but it probably is not a good thing either to think about what's the best purpose I can give myself. And it's obviously it's different for everybody, but for me it's never been, can I be the best worker at this company? It just doesn't really fulfill my life's purpose, I guess. And it's not to say my life has a purpose, but I feel like if I were 80 and I look back on my life, like, is the only thing I'm gonna be able to show for is that I was loyal to a company for 40 years and now I retired and, you know, I still barely have anything. They don't have the real dreams I had when I was a child. People tell you to follow your dreams, but then when you actually try to, people shit on you and they insult you and they fucking hate you for it. And whenever you do better than somebody else, people also want to fucking attack you and they want to try and drag you down to their level. And it's like, well, I don't know. For me, I've always been an introvert, which is not the same as being shy. I've never been shy to walk up and talk to somebody, but it's like, I don't know. I've never just been the outgoing person. I've never been super talkative. And mostly because I feel like conversations with normal people, especially kids in school, it was super just fucking stupid. I don't know. And I'm trying really hard not to come across like I think I'm better than everybody, because I don't think I'm better than everybody. I feel like from a young age, I just got trapped in a state of mind that is very just void of meaning. And back to that, I guess, like I was saying, I think life is a journey. And you just got to learn to love the journey, because no matter what you're trying to do to get to that destination, the journey is really what it's all about. Because when a lot of people, you know, finally get rich or something, you know, they say they have no more purpose, they lose meaning, they don't know what to do, they have everything. I don't know, because they don't have anything else. They lose the journey at that point. They're already at the destination, and now what? You just sit around being rich? And to a lot of people, that sounds like a great ending, which it probably is. Most people would probably agree that money actually can buy happiness, because you can, well, the number one thing money can buy is freedom. And when you're truly free to not have to work a job every single day, and it's not that people don't want to work hard. Okay, I'm tired of people saying that. Especially older people saying, oh, this new generation doesn't want to work. It's not that. It's that we don't want to work for scraps. We don't want to do tireless, meaningless, hard work for scraps, okay? When all the generations before us, okay, at least in America, have done equal or easier work, maybe harder, but no matter what the work was, they were getting more. And no, I'm not stupid, okay? I know we have things better. I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 100 years ago. You know, we have kids working in factories for actual scraps. But I feel like today, in the civilized society that we built for ourselves, I feel like things are getting a little bad. And I don't, obviously everybody knows they're getting a little bad. But it's like, okay, things are getting bad. What are we gonna do now? Okay, that's the thing for me, is I don't think anybody's really gonna do anything. And I feel like life is just a rat race, you know, who can get by, who can just make it, who can make something with limited resources we have. And I don't know, one thing that, if you're depressed, I think you should really consider this, because I'm not gonna say I'm depressed. I'm really not. I feel like I'm always just having an existential crisis, but I wouldn't call that depression. I think I just think too deeply about things when it's really not that deep. You know, we got put on this earth, and you just got to look at the task in front of you. Now, what's the next move you can make that is going to positively impact your life? But yeah, if you're depressed, seriously, if you are fortunate enough to have running water, I feel like you should just be grateful for what you have. Because obviously, there are people with Lambos and yachts, and they can just buy shit, and they could probably buy your home, and it's nothing to them. And obviously that will make you feel bad, especially when that's the number one thing that's shoved in your face every time you go on social media, which you spend probably hours scrolling through every single day. There are people who are born with nothing, okay? Genuinely nothing. People are born with nothing. Some people don't have, some people lose their parents. Not even being born without parents, your parents give you up for adoption or something. That's bad. But imagine, because I know somebody, okay? Imagine losing your parents, okay, at the age of like 10. You were lucky enough to get gifted that time with your parents, and then they get ripped away from you. And I think most people aren't going to have to go through that, but the ones that do really do suffer. And you just have to always keep in mind that there is somebody in a worse position than yourself. So I feel like just being depressed about it was a little selfish. When I get depressed, if I ever do, it's never because I don't have anything. It's not because I think there's rich people out there and I'll just never be rich, and I'll never be successful. It's nothing like that. It's always that I know I'm not doing the best I can, and so I get upset with myself. But it's never been about my situation. I'm very grateful for my situation. And I think if you're able to watch this video, if you have free time to just watch this video, you're probably in a much better situation than a lot of people on earth. Now I know every single person, even if they say they're not, is very, very self-centered. Obviously you view the world through your own lens. So I mean, it's just kind of inherently going to happen. You're always going to be self-centered to some extent. But I feel like if you just take a step back and you look at the globe, you just zoom in on a random part of the globe, chances are the person you zoom in on is going to have a worse life than you. So if you just look at it from that, I guess, perspective, it becomes kind of hard to be depressed. And not only that, just kind of, obviously self-worth and all that relies onto it, but I've never really believed in crying over things you don't have whenever like I said, if you're watching this video, you probably have a fucking lot more than some kid somewhere in Africa or the Middle East. There's a bunch of fucking terrible shit. I don't know, I kind of been ranting about just probably nothing for the past 10 minutes. But there's one person who I'm not even really close friends with or anything that I feel like I've actually had a fulfilling conversation with, a deep conversation with. And that person is my girlfriend's brother, okay? And this is somebody I really only see on, family events, family occasions, occasionally a couple times, and probably more than a couple, but, a few times a year is when I really see him. And when we see each other, it's usually brief. But recently we've had a time where we were together probably for, I don't know, probably like 10 hours straight, just in a room. And it was me and him and my girlfriend, right? And my girlfriend was tired. She's like falling asleep on the floor and shit. But, she's still there listening. But me and him started talking, and it just got so deep. And, just kind of how the world is an interesting place. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it did make me feel like, okay, so there are other people who are similar, because I went my whole life feeling like I'm completely different than everybody else. I look at football and all I really think is like, bro, this is just the bread and the circus, and this is, what is keeping you entertained, like the masses, I feel like. And I just feel like saying that makes me sound fucking stupid, but genuinely that's how I look at it, and I'm not gonna lie about it. So, and it's not that I've never tried to watch football and I don't understand how it works, okay? I've played football, and all this, every year, Thanksgiving or whatever, or even now and then when the Cowboys are playing, I sit with my dad and I try to watch it, try to enjoy it, create a moment of us eating chips with queso and watching it. And it's like, yeah, it's cool, we're in the room together, but at the end of the day, it's like, bro, I really don't give a fuck who scores. Like I don't care which team I'm rooting for. If they lose, they win. It doesn't really affect anything. I'm still gonna wake up and go about my life tomorrow. And it's like, bro, like, why am I even paying attention to this? I just feel like if I'm not doing something that like increases my knowledge or impacts my life positively in the future, then like whatever I'm doing is probably just kind of pointless. And I know this is me probably going super too deep into things, which I, like I said, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. That conversation I had with my girlfriend's brother was actually probably the single best conversation I might have ever had in my entire life. And that was probably what, 3.5 or 4 hours of talking. And I mean, things got serious, and but not serious probably how you're thinking, like serious, like it's just kind of incredible that there are other people that can actually, I guess, perceive things the same way. But it's like, we know the things we're saying, most people would be like, all right, you're fucking crazy. And most people will brush off. And I mean, that's fair, because I understand not caring about what goes on around the world, especially at least here in America, because it does matter, I think, on a global scale. But to your personal life, it does not matter what's happening in this country or here or over here. It really doesn't matter. You're just gonna, like I said, go to work tomorrow, you're gonna do this, and you're just gonna try and get by, okay? Because you just, you gotta live with what cards you're dealt, basically. And on those cards, most of the time learning about what's happening all the way over here just will never benefit you. So there's no point. And that just goes back to, you know, everyone being super self-centered. It really doesn't matter if you know what's going on across, you know, the globe. So, and I don't even know how I sound. I probably sound like a fucking idiot, but yeah, dude, I don't know. I know I didn't really explain myself super good, and I've been stuttering my way through this video. I don't really care. That's just another thing, is I feel like my entire life I've kind of been in a shell, and I feel like just recently I just kind of stopped giving a fuck. The thing is, you go your whole life kind of building up this person you're gonna be, and then you become that person, and then it feels like you're trapped being that person. At least for me, I feel like I'm trapped as this person I created myself as, because this is how other people perceive me. And it's like, well, they don't even know the real me. It's just kind of how you act is how that person perceives you. Everybody you've ever met is going to perceive you differently, and so everybody has their own view of you, their own version of you, I guess. And that sounds a little weird, but I think some people will probably get most people might understand what I'm talking about. And I feel like recently I just really don't give a fuck how people perceive me. I'm just gonna truly be myself, and to do that, I'm not gonna lie to myself and become an extrovert and just be completely outgoing, but it's like, I don't know, just fucking speak my mind. And for one, I feel like I have like my genetics, I guess. I don't know. I'm a introvert who's good at reading people, and I don't want to be manipulative. And I don't even know my real dad, but apparently he was super manipulative. Okay, I can't even get the fucking word out. He was super manipulative, and I see that in myself. I know I can be, and I know that probably sounds fucking gross and slimy and snaky, and it's not even that I want to be here, and I don't think it's cool to be manipulative or anything like that. I can't even say it. I probably sound like a fucking idiot, but I don't care. I just don't want to be that person. I feel like it's super kind of just disgusting to play on people's emotions. But the thing is I feel so detached from reality sometimes that it becomes easy to do that. Or it can be easy to do that, at least I should say. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, for the fucking 10th time, I probably sound stupid as hell. But yeah, to get to the point I guess I was trying to make, is that today I feel like most people are pretty manipulative. Most people are fake. They're putting up a facade because they want to be perceived as nice. They want to be perceived as good, or whatever it may be. And it gets to a point where everything just feels fucking fake, okay? All the memes you're watching, all the TikTok scrolling, whatever, you know, your poison of choice, I guess. You got Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You know, your poison of choice. Everything you're seeing online, you know, your favorite YouTuber who probably just sits down and makes a video for a little bit, and then you don't even really know who that person is. For me, everything just has kind of been feeling fake. And not like, you know, we're living a fake life, but people put up a fake facade of, obviously, like I already said, how they want to be perceived. And I feel like I just don't fuck with any of it, okay? I want to be not above that shit, but I just want to be authentic, okay? I want people to watch me and genuinely know me for me, or at least understand me on a deeper level than just, you know, this guy just makes videos just to make videos and try to get clicks and views. I don't really give a fuck about that. And, you know, and also because of that, I've been looking at the analytics less and less. I've stopped caring about the views. When I first started YouTube, it was like, oh, this got like a few views, and then this one got a bunch. It's like, whatever. I feel like directing my channel off of views is the wrong way to go about it, because I'm not a business and I don't want to treat it like a business. So if I'm not going to do that, then why should I look at views? And sure, I understand caring about all that stuff. What's the point of making a video for views or whatever? Or if you don't care about the views, I guess, what's the point of making a video? Nobody watches it. And for me, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of deeper than that. I've said it before. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm fucking terrible at articulating myself and trying to talk, and I stutter, and I'm just not great at talking. So that's a big thing, is one of the reasons I'm making videos, is I'm trying to improve myself as a person, just improve my speech. If you watched me before, you would know that. But I guess I'm a believer in cleaning up your corner of the world. Obviously, I'm not going to go on a global scale. I don't think I'm ever going to be super, you know, famous, I guess. You know, like I show speed, you know, visiting different countries and stuff, going on tours. I don't even think I'll ever go on a tour in my own country. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But like right now, my belief is that'll probably never happen. You know, I'm kind of trailing off the point here. The point is, I believe in cleaning up my own little corner of the world. Okay, even if I can make 5 people's days better by, you know, somebody kind of realizing that there's somebody out there that maybe they can relate to, or, you know, that they're not alone, really is the thing. If I can make somebody's day better, then that's kind of fulfilling for me on a small scale, so, or even a big scale. I mean, it kind of just depends where this channel goes, which I don't know. I don't really expect it to go anywhere if I'm going to stop looking at analytics and caring about the views, but at the same time, I don't know, I just want to be authentic, okay? The realism, I feel like, will attract genuine people, and I don't want weird fake fans. I don't even, it's probably not even possible to have like fake fans, but you know, I want genuine people to be not even subscribe to my channel, but subscribe to my ideals. You know, people who agree with me and stuff on a broader scale of things, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want a bunch of fucking degenerate hating losers, you know, to be the people who follow me around. Okay, and it's kind of hard for me to say that because I'm gonna make fucking terrible jokes probably and say crazy shit, which is the thing is me and my girlfriend's brother actually came to terms on. You know, at the end of the day, it's like nothing even really matters. So like the only thing you can really do at this point is just look at brain rot and just troll, and not even troll to be like a hater, just you know, just to be funny, you know, because at the end of the day, like I said, life is like a journey and the final destination is death. And on that journey, the only thing you can really try to do is enjoy that journey the most. I was going to make a whole video about that, is you got to learn to love the journey, because your whole life is just a journey. And if you love the journey, you're going to love your life. And that's probably the ultimate goal, is at least for me, is to love your life, because there's no point, I guess, in wasting your life and doing nothing. If there's something you want to go out and do, I think you should just do it. And that's part of this video that I'm making. I know I went on this topic and I trailed off, but I feel like recently I've kind of been breaking out of my shell, not hiding who I am or anything like that, just being real, being authentic. And I don't even know where to go from here, but I know this video has probably been hard to follow. I'm sorry for that. It's kind of hard to explain my thought process on some things. But yeah, I believe in just cleaning up your corner of the world and being a positive force, okay, in the universe. And I feel like this is something a lot of people today, especially my age, are lacking, is morals and principles. And I don't know, I just feel like we need to bring that back, is people standing on what they believe. For one, I feel like today, if you believe something that's not the mainstream agenda, then you automatically become like an outcast. But all my life I felt like an outcast anyway, so I don't really give a fuck. We're just gonna come on this shit and say whatever we want, okay, guys? And at the end of the day, I don't know, I'm not perfect. Obviously, you can tell by watching this video, I really don't even know what I'm talking about. It's just hard to articulate it all. But if there's anything you should take from this, I think you should just stand up for what you believe is right, for what you believe in. Stand up for your ideals, stand up for yourself. And, you know, I've never, just another thing real quick before we go, I've never, ever really stood up for myself. And the reason is because I just never really gave a fuck. You know, if somebody were to say that I'm stupid or ugly, I was just like, okay, whatever, you know. I wouldn't even say shit back. I'd be like, okay. Because I don't really give a fuck what that person thinks. And I feel like most people do. I don't know. I feel like I had an ego death, but I think it was like for the better. And the reason why I say that is because if somebody were to call, just like, we all know that one person probably, just imagine you're in school or some shit and you see somebody get called ugly and that person go, no, you ugly, you a bitch, I'll fight me, bro. And they're trying to like prove their masculinity or some shit, something weird. And it's like, you know, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm ugly, saying all this shit. They're like crashing out. But it's like, if they really didn't give a fuck, you'd be like, okay, and just walk away. And that's kind of how I feel. It's like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, genuinely, I just like, I never really cared what somebody said to me, what, you know. People can say what they want. At the end of the day, I know I don't care. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't affect me what they think. And you know, as you go through life, you get a bunch of different experiences and friends. And you know, I've had friends who constantly just want to put other people down to try and build themselves up. I think we all know somebody probably like that. But it's like, even them, I wouldn't say shit. And it's not, we'll get into that in a second if I want to change that or not. But it's like, I've never really given a fuck, because then as soon as they want to do all that shit, you know, and put people down to build themselves up, I don't really believe in that. And then they want to go and like talk shit or whatever. It's like, you know, I don't really care, you know, dude, I know you're full of shit, just shut the fuck up, stuff like that. And I know this is I probably sound like a loser, I don't know, I know I'm not in my heart, but I've also never been one to push back on people's ideas or what they say, or even if they insult me, I don't insult them back, because I feel like I think on things on like a bigger scale, and I would say something that would probably cut a little too deep, be a little hurtful. And you know, I don't want to say anything I regret or ruin a friendship, even though you know, I could probably talk about this for like an hour. But you know, I've just always spared people's feelings, just because I feel bad, and I would put my own feelings at jeopardy just to spare other people's feelings. But recently, like I said, I'm kind of feeling like I want to just come out of the shell that I've built for myself. And the shell is just how people see me, and they see me as this person, and this is who I am. Or if, you know, just to take my channel name, for example, just to make it easier, they see Creamy as this person that they've built in their mind over all these times they've seen me or whatever, you know. Or, you know, for YouTube, for example, people will watch one video and they think I'm crazy or something, which I know this video is probably crazy sounding, but in general, when I'm not even talking about fucking philosophic stuff, I don't know what's the word, bro, philosophy, when I'm not talking about deep philosophy type stuff like this, people will still think I'm unhinged or something, and I probably am. But it's like, I don't know, dude, that's just the shell I built for myself for that person. They're just gonna see me as that shell, and it's like, I'm not gonna cater to who people think I am anymore, And I guess that's the point of the video, okay? The 2 points of the video is stand up for what you believe in, okay? And you don't have to live as a shell. I feel like that's how I've been living, and I feel like coming out of that. And I know this has been 30 minutes, so we're gonna wrap this up. I did not plan on talking for 30 minutes, but I just have a lot to say, dude. I could probably talk fucking forever, and it's hard to follow, I know, probably for a lot of people, but hopefully this video gets like no views anyway, because this is really just to get shit off of my chest. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I would just say don't let other people put you down. You have to build yourself up first before you can help anyone else, is kind of how I think. It's how I view things. Like, I feel like if you can't support yourself, you can't support anybody else. So you got to be first things first, you got to be your own #1 fan. You don't have to live in a shell that you've built for yourself. You can live how you want. You can be who you are. Stand up for what you believe in, and just learn to love the journey, bro. I don't know. That's really all I have to say, and I'm sorry that I've been stuttering throughout this whole video. It's just kind of hard. I know there's a lot I don't know, so when I say things, I don't say it in full certainty, and that's just because I know things are always changing and things can change in the future, or I might have read a bad article and there could be 20 more proving it wrong. I don't know. Things like that is what makes me be hesitant to say things. Even when I'm talking about my own feelings, I guess it's just the personal flaw I have, but I am trying to improve it, and that is the point of my actual YouTube channel. At least for now. I don't know if things are going to change in the future, but for now, I am just trying to improve my speech and maybe help some people get through, I don't know, I guess hard times by either they click on my video, it's funny, or I'm saying something they agree with, or they can realize by watching this, they're not alone in thinking that, you know, they're fucking totally disconnected from everybody else. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say, and I know it's been 32 minutes of nothing. It'll probably be shorter in post because there's some things that are gonna get cut, but yeah, dude, if you're watching this and you enjoyed it and you support me, I support you back. I love you, and just go be a good person, bro.